Hey guys, welcome back to my video. My last video I told you I was going to make another video about my heads for my 30 over 454 here, and here they are. I haven't done nothing to the other head. I still have to do that. This one here, this is how clean they were pretty much when I took it apart, and I explained about how clean my engine was when I got this, and it was already a running 30 over engine, turned over, had compression, everything, but I wanted to rebuild it for performance, so I like to take engines apart. I'm not just going to run the way it is. Hell no, I add performance parts. So I do have the so-called peanut port heads, and I am going to tell you my opinion on these, and I'm not just going to say it's an opinion. I'm going to say they're facts because I have experience building engines, and I think the term peanut port is just a total bullshit. Whoever came up with that term, I guarantee you the factory didn't come up with that, because what, a peanut is this big. So these are not peanut ports. These are plenty. So I got a flashlight here, but these are plenty enough. These are plenty enough ports. You can build 500 horsepower easily with this, with the cam and whatever else you want to do with the RPM range. I'm looking at like 6,000 RPM maximum. So I'm just building for a good hot street engine, just with my experience with cams and other big blocks I've built. So I kind of know what does what. I'm using the Big Mama Rattler in this engine from Howard's. It's not a big cam, it's the most you would want. I like the cam specs and the lift and everything. That's why I like it in the duration. I want to stay around 230 or so. So it'll be just fine. It's not too big of a cam, just a hydraulic. I'm not sure if I would want to stay with these because I can get from Competition Products the head upgrade kit, they call it. They're like 230 something bucks. You get the valve springs all stainless. You get the locks, Molly keepers, like the Viton valve seals, the double springs. They're drop-in springs, and they're good for 550 lift and a little bit more than that. So I'm only going to be running 550. So actually 553 or whatever on there, but that's fine. Be perfect. Not too much spring pressure on the seat. You're looking at 110 pounds, and then open it's like 345. So it's perfect springs. But so I could probably get away with using these valves, the factory ones. This was a remanufactured engine. But I ported these heads. I have one more to do on this one here. My other head, I haven't touched that one yet. But so I did take one of the valve springs off so I can show you what we got here. But pretty clean heads. You can see how nice and clean they are. And let's see. Yeah, it didn't take much. There was just a slight carbon, on these. You wipe them with your finger, but obviously I took a brush to this thing and everything and power washed them and stuff. But I want to show you something here just to give you an idea, and a little talk about. So these are sealed, and I lapped them really good, so there's no leakage or nothing. But so we're talking a little over half-inch lift. We're going to be looking at, what do we got here? Right around here, which is plenty. So right around there is plenty. Okay, I'll pull this out, and then I'll show you something here. Set my valve right there. So I bowl blended these, and I did it with just a small Dremel. I've used bigger ones with the big carbide bits. I actually prefer to do a Dremel because it's more steadier. And so I removed the flash, pretty close, but not too close So the valve seat would be right here. Let's see if I can get this flashlight over here. You can see with the valve seat. So just behind the valve where the actual seat is on these. So the flashing, I didn't go anymore, but just took off what you have to. You're freeing up horsepower breathing right there. And then this part here on the hump, I didn't remove nothing there. I did take and smoothed it out. Let me see if I got that one brush thing I used. So on my Dremel, I use this one. This is flexible. These move. It's kind of, I use it, polished it up, really nice. And so I got around here a bit and smoothed it and polished it. So just make it more free flowing. Now, if you were to go with a larger valve, these are 206, I don't know, 72, I think maybe. The 440s have 208 and 174. They're pretty comparable, but these ports on these are a bit bigger than the 440s, like the 906s. For street strip, plenty fine, more than enough. So now if you went to a bigger valve, which they do make the oval ports, some of them, they come with the same size valves, 206 also. So even if you upgraded, if you upgraded with the larger diameter valve, I don't think you're going to have any gains unless you clean that up wider also, like the same thing I did here, but then you're going to be taking more material away, and I don't think that's a good idea. Plus you would be coming closer to the edges here, and that might hamper the flow if it's going to hit these wells. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. I'm like no master, but just sharing the theory from all the books I read over the years and other really good engine builders and their little secrets and what they say too. So I think just doing this, cleaning up that extra, you're probably looking, I don't know, at least 10 to 20 horsepower. But when you add the cam and the intake and the extra breathing, it all adds up. So really nice and smooth, really nice precision job, smooth here. So I think this is better than putting larger valves in. Larger valves, you're gonna be taking up more, and then it has to go around, work its way around there. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you guys can understand what I'm getting at there. But plenty there. Now these material that these factory valves, hardened steel or whatever, they're obviously not as strong as stainless. So I just thought, for the price, $236, whatever, you could get stainless valves, pop them in here. They should be cut with the same 45 degree. Just check them and lap them and see what you got, and you can drop them in, and you got a stronger valve. So when you're upgrading to a bigger cam and better valve springs and stuff, you want a strong valve, and those are one-piece valves. They're made one piece. Well, these are supposed to be two pieces. I don't know how in the hell they make them somehow. I don't know a lot about that, but I just figure for the price, so that's what we have here. And then I want to get back to these ports and show you. So can I show you what I did? Now these heads they have on the roof, these like little humps. So I smoothed them all off of there, and then I went down inside there, and I didn't remove stuff. I removed whatever you do when you're kind of just going back and forth on them. So it's obviously slightly more volume than it was stock on these. So then I took that one polishing sander pad, and then I just went up and down and around on these, and I smoothed them out. I do believe that having them smooth is better than having them rough. Some people talk about the atomization. I disagree on that. I think the smooth like this is better. This here is where you're gonna, when that valve opens and your piston comes down on the intake charge and it sucks in that next charge mixture. These are high efficiency. A lot of velocity, so they have a high speed. They'll fill the cylinder, so that's the trade-off. It's not really a trade-off, but even a strip build, these are good heads to use. People think they throw these away. I would not throw them away. I would absolutely not throw these away. These ports are plenty fine here. Plenty fine. 500 plus. Some people say 550 horsepower for street, you know. So I basically just cleaned them out, removed the flashing to free up some breathing, lapped them, and they're all really nice. This I could have put this engine together and just cleaned it up, but I want a performance, so I want to know what's in my engine. So I cleaned it up, and that's what we got here. Let's see. And then I will be using these. So I will also be using full roller rockers, not the super expensive ones, but they are stainless. They look just like the comp ones, so they got the roller tip and also the pivoting fulcrum, because I want as much less friction as possible. And for the price on them, like 200, just over 250 maybe for all of them. 16. It's a pretty good deal for extra horsepower. And then also the swedged in push rods. So also when I my cam, I'm going to use special lifters like the GM Delphis. They have a hardened bottom on them, and or else there's a few other to choose from, but that's some I haven't decided yet. But I just won't use the regular lifters that come with the kit, so I'll buy that cam separately, and I'll spec out the lifters. So all this was clean. There's no burrs or nothing. They spin freely. I've tried other ones, used ones, and some other new ones for other stuff, but a lot of people have problems supposedly nowadays with their wiping out cam lobes, and most of it has to do with I think they're not using the proper break-in grease. I think the best is that dark gray moly grease, and you want to put it on real heavy and get it up in there. And also not too much spring pressure, just have enough what you need, don't overdo it. So I also disagree about when they say to hold your RPMs up like 2,000 RPM for 20 minutes. I disagree on that. I would start your engine out, just run it normal, bring it at idle above some, and just do it by hand for a bit, up and down, and then let the cam actually settle in first, because there's movement in here, and that's the part of the braking is the camshafts. They have a taper on the lobes, and these are designed with the force on the bottom of the lifter to push the cam rearwards. So you got between the distributor drive, and so it's not going to go back any further than that, but they won't walk forward. They're designed to hold it back. But I mean, once that starts settling, you don't just want to start your engine up and bring it up to 2,000 like people are saying. I've never done that before. I've never had a cam wipe out. I've never had a cam wipe out with friends I've helped putting cams in their engines. Did the same thing and never had a cam wipe out. But I would just run it at normal idle or above a little bit, maybe fluctuate it just slightly. Let that break in and settle in its position, and then after that, if you want, bring the RPM up some, and But the idea of that is to let the crankshaft journals counterbalance splash oil up on there. I would not do that because you want as much as that break-in lube to stay on there. Why would you want the oil to be dripping that stuff off? That's why. So the factory, when they built their engines, they put their engines together, and sometimes every so many they might run them in a run-up room, but they just put them together and they sent them. They just, when they're assembled in the vehicle and they started them, and that's how they did them. They're made that way. But these heads, very good heads. Even the oval port heads are pretty big. They're too much for the street. They're too much. The oval port heads, people use them for racing. I mean, they're gigantic. People see these big, huge valves or ports, and they're the first thing, oh, yeah. Well, you don't have no velocity. You need huge cubic inches or a lot of RPMs and work. Even people that had the old rectangular heads, those are overkill. Those are like for 800 horse engines that are winding out or big cubic inches. They used to take them off and replace them with the oval ports, and they were making more power and going faster. That's a fact. So, you have big ports, you need big carburation. So them rectangular ports, you want a huge single plane or even a tunnel ram is the ultimate, because it goes directly down. They're proven. Tunnel rams work. But for the street, I would recommend the so-called peanut ports. That's what you want. They'll keep, even with the larger cam duration, they still have that velocity. So when the valve opens up, that velocity just from here to there is once that opens, it's an initial whoosh, sucking right in. Now if you have a larger volume port, it's that much less of speed to suck in. Then you would need a lot higher compression. So another thing is I'm not sure between the RPM air gap intake, which I think is where I might go. They don't match up, but the Weiand Street Warrior does. The Weiand Street Warrior is a peanut port intake, and it matches these. And they're good for like idle to 5,500, so they say. Depends on what cam and valve train you have. Whereas the Performer RPM air gap, or the RPM, is rated from like 1,500 to 6,500 RPM, more than enough. But it depends. But there's another thing, people mismatch intakes on these, and it don't do no difference. I wouldn't even hog these out to match. Some people open these up, they look like a horn or something, and it's not going to hurt, I guess. But if you have an intake like this, the direction's going this way, it doesn't matter. The suction here is pulling whatever it's going to take to there anyway. And if you're going to open it up here but not here, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. It might look cool, but you're wasting your time. So let's see, anything else I wanted to go over on here. I think that's about it. But pretty good heads. This would be 9-to-1 compression with the good head gasket I'm using, and be a perfect engine. So thanks for watching my video, guys. Just tried to cover stuff that I could remember, share information. I might not be right on everything, but I'm trying to be practical when I build an engine and think ahead of time, okay, what do I want out of it? So this is going to be a street strip, something that you mash the gas pedal and incinerate the tires at will right off idle. That's why I love big blocks. And it's not going to be over-cammed. Headers, intake, valve train, all that stuff is upgraded. Oil pan upgraded. High volume oil pump upgraded. Especially when you're using the hydraulic. You want that extra oil capacity, but you do not want to lose no oil pressure, because that affects your lifters. So your lifters are actually just they're automatic lash adjustments. That's what lifters are. So they run off of the lobe, and plus inside they're lash adjusters. So I don't know. Hope you enjoyed watching my videos. Engine stuff's exciting. I like Ford, Chevys, Mopars, anything. They're all pretty cool. You know, I grew up with the Mopar stuff, but I got out of the car stuff for a while, and I did the music, guitar playing, and then I sold off my stuff. But then when you're away from that and you see other vehicles, then you start appreciate them, and they're all so cool. American Muscle is cool. The Chevy engines, I always wanted a big block. Their small blocks are nice. Mopars are cool. Ford engines, I used to hate them, but I'd love to do a 351 Cleveland or build a FE 427. Cool ass engines. They look really nice too. So anyway, thanks for watching my video, and I'll come back with another one. Thanks, guys. Bye.